Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 16 of FTB Infinity Evolved Skyblock mode. First thing I want to do today is pick up all of the pure crystals we grew yesterday. So, they're apparently all done. I suppose that's not terribly surprising. We expected it to take 16 hours and it's been over 16 hours. And they haven't despawned. That's the only thing that could have gone wrong, I guess. But it did. Alright, so let's put this, let's see, here I believe. And oh my gosh, this pick is so slow. There we go. We'll dump it all in our storage for the time being. 2,000 each of pure Certus and Fluix. I didn't grow pure nether quartz. I don't think it's actually needed for anything. You can use it to like double your nether quartz yield, but I think that's unnecessary. So today, I want to get started in magic. Let's start with Botania. The quest book does guide us through the initial little few steps, so you can't get very far in Botania before you have to like break into all the other magic pods. But first things first, let's make the Lexica Botania. That is the documentation book, and it's very good. I've discovered a way to cause a disconnect. So if I think this is work in progress. If I import this recipe and hit this is the recipe for the Lexica Botania, and hit the most likely button, I will consistently disconnect with this error. I don't know why. I assume it has something to do with me having too many items, and thus the most likely button sends too much data or something. I don't know. I'll just not hit the button because I don't actually need to. Alright, there we go. Now I have the Lexica Botania. So, let's book. What's next? Next, I need to make the Petal apothecary. This is how we craft most Botania flowers. I'm allowed to hit the most likely button here without crashing. So the challenge is I need mystical petals, which can be grown from the agricraft seed or from mystical fertilizer, I believe. Is that a thing, magical fertilizer? Every time before I've played this pack, I did the agricraft way. But yeah, we can just make it like this. This is much easier than breeding like 30 different species of, or 16 different species of seeds. So this gets us some floral fertilizer. With this, you can just right click it on dirt and it grows flowers. So I'm going to use all of our mystical fertilizer. In fact, let's build the thing I usually do for this, which is, I call it the Earth Shaker. It's a bunch of pistons that moves a slab of earth back and forth. The design is simple, but a little bit loud. So every second this redstone clock ticks, it pulses a sticky piston. There's like a million different ways into your timing circuit. But the idea is you just have two sets of pistons push a slab of dirt back and forth. And then any plants that are grown on it when it gets pushed fall off. So I'm going to make another batch of floral fertilizer and put it to use here. Add a vacuum chest to just collect the products, and we're all it takes. I'm going to use up this stack, which should hopefully give us at least some flowers of every color, and then we can get started with Botania. Maybe at some point I'll fully automate this to like include the automation of producing the actual fertilizer. But there's 16 different types of flowers. Do I have all 16? 9 or 8 by 2 is 16. Perfect. I'll store the flowers in drawers just so that they're nice and organized. 16 different flower types, so 4 2x2 drawers. On second thought, let's set up a system that will auto-craft the flowers into their petals. So in almost all cases, well, in all cases, that's just simply doing that. But afterwards, I also want to take some of these petals, crush them down with a mortar into the floral dye, and then craft that back into floral fertilizer. The floral fertilizer can be made with bone meal and any 4 Botania dyes. Each floral fertilizer will produce more than 2 flowers, right? It takes 2 flowers to make 4 dye. So if you can automate this process, basically for a piece of bone meal, you can produce flowers. And our sifting produces tons of bone meal. Also, this is a chance to show off one of the really cool features of extra utilities that got dropped in 1.12 for reasons I will never understand. So most auto crafting cares about inputs and outputs, right? It's you give it these items in, and it produces its output. However, Extra Utilities has this really cool auto crafting where you put a crafting table down and a transfer node next to the crafting table, and the transfer node will look behind the crafting table in a 3x3 grid to find items to craft. And it crafts it in that 3x3 grid. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a controller slave here that just exposes the entire inventory of the drawer, but it only but for the transfer node it only sees it one stack at a time. So basically it says I don't care what item it is, just craft it by itself and give me petals. By putting a world interaction upgrade in here, it just turns them into petals. Isn't that cool? And when it's done with magenta, it'll automatically move on to the next color. And then when it's done with those, it'll move on to the next color. And it takes speed upgrades to make it faster and all that jazz. So I'm going to do this and then store these products in another set of drawers that are, instead of being the flowers, will be the petals. The same trick can be used to turn petals into the dust without caring about exactly which petal it is, by putting a mortar and pestle in the inventory next to the controller slave. Right, so now when this craft, it looks like mortar and pestle is here in I guess it'll be in this slot. Mortar pestle in no. Mortar pestle is in upper left slot. So yeah, mortar pestle here, the petal here, and the rest is empty. And I believe that's a valid recipe. So we put this world interaction upgrade in, and it starts crafting them into floral magenta, or into powders. For the last step of fertilizer crafting, we have to take 4 dusts. It can be any 4 dusts, doesn't actually matter which, and craft them with 1 piece of bone meal. So by using 4 controller slaves here, it sees 4 dusts. I don't know if it's deterministic which 4, if it's random, but it sees 4 dusts and bone meal, which we have to place into that chest, or we can have the logistics pipe system automatically sync items into that chest. That's fine too. Place a world interaction upgrade here, and why is it not working? Bone meal plus 4 dusts. Oh, right. It searches the 3x3 area directly behind the crafting table. Right, so it's this square, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3 down there. This diamond chest isn't actually in one of the squares it searches. So let's put the diamond chest here, and that should do it. There we go. And now we're getting floral fertilizer. So we now just need a way to turn this floral fertilizer, to get the floral fertilizer to automatically click onto the dirt. Oh, but first it seems there's a problem. The system gets stuck if there are any colored floral dusts that we only have 2 of. So I think it tries to use 4 of the same color at a time, and it can only see 2 of them. So let's try to come up with a slightly different solution here. My solution was to directly store the items themselves in the 4 drawers that are used for crafting. This because the colors are produced more or less randomly and more or less in even-ish quantities. By storing it this way, that means that as long as there's 1 available in each of these drawers, it'll craft more fertilizer. Now eventually all the drawers become drained, but by the time that happens, we've crafted more fertilizer than we started with. So then we can just keep the loop going here. So once again, we're back to the point of just needing some type of auto clicker to actually click this, because I don't want to do it by hand. The autonomous user is the go-to auto clicker, like a mechanical user type thing in this version of Minecraft. So it uses, I believe, it does more than a tooltip can explain. That's definitely true. It uses a little bit of power, and it clicks things. What more is there to say? So its UI is a little complicated. It can left click, right click, shift or not shift. You tell it what slots to use, and it can aim high, low, or level. So if it aims high, it'll try to click like the top of the block. If it aims low, you get the gist. So I just have it configured to right click, round robin just not sneaky. It uses 20 RF per click, so if you fill its internal buffer once, it lasts a long time. I just use my chest piece as a battery to fill it up. Alright, So now all I have to do then, this will handle the clicking. Oh, I guess I have to make it so items don't get stuck under it, huh? To fix that, I'll just put an item collector on top of the vacuum chest, set it to max range, and any items will automatically get sucked up. Now all that's left is to pipe the... Which side is this? Pipe the bone meal back into the clicker. And that can easily be done with an item conduit. So all that's left is to turn... Well, I do have to actually provide this power at some point, but for now I'll probably just drop a capacitor in there. But all that's left is to turn this lever off. This lever prevents the... How do I describe it? Prevents the petals from being turned into dusts, because the petals are really the useful form of the flowers, right? When you're like actually doing Botania. So, when you don't want to turn it all permanently into fertilizer, because you want to eventually be left with petals. So I can just turn this off at some point. And when that happens, then we'll just have petals left over. But here it is running, fully automated, and, 99% automated. I have to manually provide it bone meal. But it's close enough. Good enough for government work. It's also really loud. It's built far enough from where I usually work, though, that I don't have to listen to it do its thing. At 20 RF a click, and with a capacitor that holds 20 million, right here, that holds 20 million RF, we get 1 million seconds, 1 million clicks, and it's about 1 click per second. It might not be exactly, but if it is 1 click per second, we get 1 million seconds, and that's like a week and a half out of that one capacitor. So I'm not going to worry about powering it. With Petals automated, all I have to do is hook it up to the logistics pipes, and now we should be able to see all of our petals in the crafting system. Nice. Now, if I request any petals, it's going to take them a fair bit of time to travel all the way down these pipes, but I don't know. I can live with that, I guess. Rewinding a bit, then, we need the Petal apothecary. So that uses, is it any color petal? Yeah. Sure, that's the one we have the most of, apparently. The Petal apothecary requires water to work, and you can't directly pipe water into it. If I have fluid conduits somewhere, conduits don't connect on any side, or the top or bottom. At least I don't think they do. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they don't connect on the bottom either. This way to fill it then is just to right-click it with a bucket of water. If you right-click it again, though, you can't just spam right-click it, right? Because then you take the water out. So I want to set up a system that right-clicks it with water, or with buckets, but then takes the empty bucket out before it has a chance to do it again. To do so, I'm just going to use filtered transportation here. Did you know that the ability to right-click item filters doesn't exist yet? Like, you can't edit item filters unless you actually place them in a machine? Annoying. Anyways, I want to extract only buckets. Only buckets. Apparently this doesn't work yet either. Only buckets, and then insert them into the fluid tank here. And can I empty this bucket somehow? Let me just grab a empty bucket. Oh, I have one in my inventory. So empty buckets get pulled out of here, sent to here where they get filled, and then it gets automatically pushed back because of the... Oh, here, this side should be push only. It'll push water buckets back into here, and then if I give this some power, I can make it so that as soon as the water from the Petal apothecary gets taken out for whatever reason, the atomic activator puts a new bucket of water in. How convenient. Moving on, the next quest is to make a pure daisy. The picture here, though, is definitely not that of a pure daisy, but let's make one of those. Most flowers require placing 4 petals, or some number of petals, and then a seed into the Petal apothecary. So I guess the ability to right-click items in hasn't even been added yet. You have to do it manually by throwing it in, although this feature still exists. That's good. Anyways, I'm going to make a handful of these because you tend to need a handful of them. And there we go. 8 pure daisies. Oh, this is one of them fancy multi-stage quests. So the next step is to make a mana spreader, and I assume we will end things up by making the mana pool. A mana spreader, however, requires Livingwood, so that has made with our pure daisy with any type of wood. All it takes is time. So let me demonstrate how that works. When you surround a pure daisy with wood or stone, or there's a couple other things you can do, but wood and stone are the big two. So wood on that one, stone on this one, and then let it just sit there for a minute. And I mean a literal minute. We can see these little white particles, means it's working. So we'll be back in a minute. Here it goes. It starts transforming from wood into living wood, at which point you can just pick it up with an axe. So this process is extremely slow, as you just saw, so we would definitely want to automate it. Because it takes exactly 1 minute, it's not that bad to automate. You just use a timer for, a minute and 1 second. You place the items, and then you wait, and then you pick them up. For this, we'll need a timer to, count the minute, and the configurable timers in this pack are not very easy to make. The Project Red timer is like microcrafting hell. I absolutely hate why I hate it. The RF Tools timer, on the other hand, uses a resident machine frame for each. Oof. I'm gonna go with the RF Tools one though, because I can at least, I have a bunch of resident machine frames already crafted. Even the RF Tools timer is of a somewhat archaic design. It doesn't have the mode where while it receives a high redstone signal, it pauses. It only resets on rising edge. So I have to continuously give it rising edge signals to keep it from resetting. Anyways, I think we're done now. All that's left to do is connect the timer itself to the various block places and breakers. I specifically went with the open blocks places and breakers because they can be, they only run on redstone pulse. Inputs go into these drawers back here, stone and wood. They're distributed via item conduit to wood on one side, stone on the other. And then every minute, the way this timer works is that every minute, when the lever is on, the machine is on. Every minute it generates a redstone pulse. It's actually every 65 seconds is what I have it set to. It pulses red, and then a couple seconds or a couple ticks later pulses the green channel. The red channel are all the placers, or rather are all the breakers. So it pulses breakers and then placers. So it gets rid of the existing stuff and then places new stuff. And rinse and repeat. The one problem I've run into is that when the breakers break the items, they throw them all over the ground. I kind of thought that if I put there's a little port on top of these. It looks kind of like you've put item ducts there. There's a pulse to send it into there, but I guess not. They have to actually put it into inventory. The solution to that is simple enough. Have each block breaker feed into a chest. I use mini chests because, one stack of items is enough, and isn't this little thing adorable? And then you pull the items from the mini chest into the actual storage drawers. So let's watch it go. There we go. And now there's no items being thrown all over the place. The ones that are still left are from the earlier run where it spewed items everywhere. And we can lastly hook these output drawers up to logistics pipes with provider modules, and now living wood and stone can be accessed directly. Living wood in hand, let's make a handful of mana spreaders. Oh boy, waiting for this white pearl to travel from all the way. Oh, wait, here it comes. Nope, never mind, that was a different item. Oh, there they are. Waiting for it to travel that long distance it takes a while. I should put some speed upgrades on that end. But anyways, this should complete the quest. So what's the next step in the quest here? Make the mana pool. I assume that's the same thing made with Living Rock. Yeah, that's vanilla recipe even. Unchanged from default. A mana pool is like think of it like a battery for mana. It holds mana energy, kind of like how energy, you know, energy cells hold energy. Um, hey, quest complete. Although, wait, nope. Next I need to make a Runic altar. Wow, this is like the most multi-step quest ever. Looks like we can't just craft the Runic altar either. We have to actually make some mana first. So both mana pearls and mana diamonds involve throwing stuff into mana pools that have mana in them. So let's look at ways we can begin our mana production. Our initial options are the Daybloom or the Nightshade. The Daybloom generates mana during the day. Nightshade generates mana during the night. These are what are called passive flowers, so they die off over time and they generate mana extremely slowly. However, all other higher tier mana generation requires you to have mana to make mana. So, I don't know, it's easier to turn night into day than it is day into night, so let's make Dayblooms. Because of how slow these are, I'm going to make a handful. 20 of them should be enough to get us a good head start and make us enough mana that we can make actual flowers. Here's a cool trick. Just leave the seeds on top of the Petal apothecary and spam right click. Much easier. Alright, so there's my jetpack ran out of energy, so I had to go charge it. But there's 20 Dayblooms. Let's go ahead and make it day as well. What we'll definitely need in the near future is the Wand of the Forest. This is basically Botania's wrench. So you can make it out of any colors of petals. I prefer maize and blue. Anyways, now you can place down your mana pools and link your mana spreaders to the pools. If you just place some facing the pool, it looks like it does automatically link. But you can also shift click that and shift click and then shift click to explicitly link them. And now it's like pointed at it. I think you can actually technically link mana pools to anything. Because you might have a reason you want to fire a mana burst at any block. Anyways, now let's place these Dayblooms. There used to be a time when I think these flowers did not like being adjacent to each other. I think that's no longer a thing, but old habits die hard. I still don't place them adjacent to each other. When you place a flower, they automatically link to the nearest mana spreader, although you can also link flowers to spreaders, much like you link, spreaders to pools. Alright, so these Dayblooms will generate a little bit of mana for a mana pool. It really is a little bit. I'm going to leave them here for a little while and let it generate enough mana that we can at least do some basic crafting. When you hold an item that can be transformed into the mana pool, it'll display whether or not you have enough mana. For this Ender Pearl, it's saying, no, I do not. I believe the NEI thing that shows you how much mana it takes is zoomed in 10x. So it's like, this is, it doesn't take, I'd say this is about 5% of a mana pool. It doesn't take about 5%. It's because it's zoomed in 10x, it's about 0.5% of a mana pool. And even that is taking a while. I mean, we barely have the tiniest sliver of mana. While I don't have enough mana to make Ender or mana pearls yet, I do have enough to make mana dust. So, make a few pieces of mana dust at least. We can use this to make better, did I get all 10? Yeah, I got all 10, it's fine. We can use this to make better generating flowers, so we don't have to wait like 30 minutes for our first mana pearl. The next tier flower I want to make is the Endoflame. So this is just a bunch of petals and a piece of that mana powder. So, there we go. Let's make 10 of these. I love doing this. Unlike the Dayblooms that just passively generate mana, Endoflames require something to burn to generate mana. So, for now, I'll just use the simplest burnable thing. The trade-off is that because it's burning, because it's actually consuming something, it generates mana a lot faster. So if I just throw coal on the ground near it, they'll pick it up. I think they have like a 7x7-ish range, and they won't start burning a new piece of coal until they're done burning their current piece. So there's no indication of how far done burning they are, but as you can see, when I turned the Endoflames on, our mana spreaders started shooting their mana bursts a lot more often, to the point where we have enough to make the mana pearl. Nice. So with this, we can make a Runic altar, which unlocks a lot of other Botania stuff. Most importantly, it completes the quest. Maybe. Come on, pipes. Any day now. Alright. You can also make the Runic altar with a mana diamond, but I think mana diamonds take more mana than mana pearls do. Alright, are we done? Yay, we are done. Now, we can't go much further here, because it seems like if we want to get much further, we have to switch gears to the other magic mods. It does say it unlocks one quest elsewhere. Don't know where that is. The way you use the mana or Runic altar, though, is first you just place it, and then you want to... Yeah, let's place it somewhere a bit more sensible. Place it, and then you want to point your mana spreaders at it. So we'll need a mana spreader from there, and a mana spreader here. Mana spreaders will shoot mana from mana pools into anything that accepts mana, including each other. So, alright, now if we do any crafting on the Runic altar, the mana for it is provided by these spreaders directly into the Runic altar. I was looking for a recipe that we could craft in the Runic altar now, just to demonstrate how it works. But I guess of the 22 Runic altar recipes, every single one requires some type of cross-mod progression. So they require either blood magic, or in many cases, these Thaumcraft shards. So we can't actually even use our Runic altar yet, we just have it. To wind things down today, then let's set up a system that will automatically feed fuel to our Endoflames without letting it despawn. So the fundamental idea is we just have to leave coal in range of them. They'll pick it up when and if they need it. If the mana pool gets filled and then the flower gets filled with back stuff with mana, it just stops eating coal. The only limitation is if we leave it there for more than 5 minutes, it despawns. So we just need a way around that. Here's my solution to that problem. So an open crate, when you supplied items, just drops them straight down. It's like a vanilla dropper, except it doesn't need to be pulsed, and it drops them perfectly down. So what I'm doing is I'm using an open crate to drop blocks of coal onto a pressure plate. When the pressure plate is active, it tells the basically this is on extract only without signal. So when the pressure plate is active, it stops dropping items, and then every what do I have this set? This is what, 8 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Every 64 seconds, right? Each square represents 1 second because I have delay set to 20. Every 64 seconds, it turns on the vacuum chest here for 4 seconds, as you just saw there, and it sucks the items back in. And then when the items get picked up, it causes the pressure plate to get lifted up, which causes new items to drop. This way, there will usually, almost always, be items sitting here. If there are no items, then new items will be dropped. And if there is nothing taking the coal, nothing's burning the coal, then every minute it'll be recycled to refresh its despawn timer. You can use logistics pipes to automatically supply coal to the vacuum chest here. So there will always be, a little bit over a stack of coal available to burn. And as it gets burned off, more and more coal will be sent here. So with this, I think our basic mana generation is complete. It's very slow, but that's fine. We, at this point in the game, don't need a lot of mana yet. I think it's probably been about 5 minutes of production to make this much mana, and like probably 99% of the mana in the mana pool is actually coming from the Endoflames, not the Livingwoods. But why don't we wrap up today's episode here? This system is chunk loaded, at least I think it is. So it is. I just read out a loadable chunks, so I'll have to turn up the limit for myself soon. But it'll run between episodes, and when we come back, I expect our mana pools will be completely filled. Now, don't worry, Endoflames, while you could just scale this system to make a lot of mana. It's very boring, and I like to do slightly more interesting mana setups. So this will not be our endgame mana setup. But in any event, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.